Thank you, Sean. So we are coming out of closed session with no action and ready to go to the next item. And it's the, hold on, I have to get down to it. Excuse me. Create the recommendations for the hiring process to take to the board. So I'm trying to get to our board books. So at this point, we need to go forward with what we want to recommend the process at this point to be. And we have a special meeting set up for a week from today, the 7th, in order to report out to the board that we have a very robust response to our advertisement and a review of qualified candidates and an idea of what we want to might talk about as far as the go forward. So I'm trying to go down the page here without going to multiple pages. I'm having trouble with my little board book here. So if we report out that of the success of the response and that a review of the qualifications, and then we need to decide whether we want to recommend that this committee do the first interviews, probably by Zoom, of the first group that we feel is appropriate. And then after that, we would take the results of those, discuss them, and come up with a recommendation for second interviews. At this point, I think the discussion would be, do we want to do the second interviews, or does the full board want to do the second interviews? And then if we do it, then do we then make the final recommendation to the full board with or without a final interview? I think those are the kind of the decision trees that we're looking at.
I would add some numbers to that. The committee would interview up to 10. And then I think we can talk about how many we might want to put into second interviews and how many we might bring to the board for a recommendation to, and maybe that would open up the board opportunity for a third interview. Just a thought, just brainstorming.
Right. And I
believe,
you know, the board has the, yes.
One question on the first interview, you said Zoom. If perchance there were candidates that were local, would it be wrong to allow them to interview in person if we're interviewing ones that aren't local by Zoom?
Any comments?
There's no law that prohibits it, if that's what you were asking.
Just think you do them all by Zoom, no matter who they are.
I was just suggesting that it be equal, because if there's out of state, how many payments?
Okay.
I also like the idea of everyone on the same playing field as far as the interaction with the committee.
And I don't see a real disadvantage to the Zoom. Everybody's been using it for 3 years now. We're almost ready to get to the point where we know when to unmute.
Keith, do you have thoughts or suggestions?
Specifically on Zoom meetings?
No, on the process.
Yes, I think we need to suggest a maximum, if the full board wants to actually participate in interviews, which I think is, I mean, that's a lot of people to bring in, even 8. I mean, that's a lot. I think we need to propose to them a very small number of such interviews. I'd say 2 or 3. In other words, we as the executive search committee, we will do the initial interviews and we will bring you a maximum of 3 to do. If the full board wants to do interviews, we'll bring you a maximum of 3 that we think are worthy of doing those interviews with the full board.
Keith, I really agree with you. And I think one of the things that supports that is it was amazing how we started out with some 40 something. Laurie was able to eliminate 20 of them, but then there was still 20, 25 that we all filtered and came up with basically the same group. So, I mean, that, we didn't end up with, going any further than that. So I think we could support that the team that's doing a good job.
Well, let me suggest a slight rewording of what we're talking to do. I think I would propose for consideration that the committee do first interviews as well as subsequent interviews necessary in order to come down to a list of no more than 3. At that point, in this process, the board would do the final interview, or we propose we would do the final interview and put forth a name. So we as a committee, I think, in our proposal needs to decide whether we want to do the final or whether we want to bring it to 3, and then it's up to the board.
I prefer we did it just to keep the group small, but I mean, I think we always have to guard against the chance that the other 4, KPPA board members will want to be involved in some way. I just think we just need to guard against an unwieldy process. Bringing 8 people into a room to do an interview, that's a lot, and I just think it's too much. I mean, if it were up to me, we would handle this as what we're named, the executive search committee, and we would conduct the executive search and make the recommendation. And there's a chance, they may not go for that, of course, but that would be my preference, that we take care of it.
I can agree with most of that approach. I think the committee should interview first and second. And I'm kind of leaving the recommendation of 3 to the board as optional. If the board wants to interview those 3 or if they want us to bring them only 1. That I think is worthy of board discussion at the next board meeting to approve our process. But I agree with Keith. It can be a little unwieldy to have 8 people interviewing 1. But that's not unusual kind of pressure for the executive director of this organization. So it might be a good test. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to take out first and second interview in case there needs to be a third iteration before we come up with the final. So I would like to suggest that it not be concise first and only second, and we have to make our total decision. We may want to fly someone in after a series of processes of interviews. Hopefully not. I mean, I'd like to get it all done. 1, 2, we're there. I just wanted to keep it open in case we decided that there needed to be a follow-up. Okay, so we have Keith saying just go with one. We have Betty recommending 3 or 1, and let them make the call next week. Any further thoughts on those 2 approaches?
Sounds good.
Well, no, we have one or the other at this point. So
I'm okay with Keith's approach.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're ultimately going to get the choice anyway, right? They're either going to vote for it or not. So, I mean, I'm just trying to keep this as small as possible to keep something from getting, I mean, it is better now that we don't have 17 board members because that would really be a circus. But, even 8, I think, is getting to be a little bit much, and you get the potential to get off topic and out of bounds.
all right. So incorporated in that is some of the detail of the process. It would entail the board submitting questions to Lori that we want to have, and then having a final selection of what those common questions are going to be in the first wave of the interview.
That's good.
And I think if we include that, I think we've got the process. Do we not, Vicki?
Yes. And then if you want, since this memo was already written, I can help you turn it over so that it's coming from you to the KPPA board.
And it'll entail our proposal to take it all the way through.
Yep.
And end with, it can be done any way you want to, board, but this is our recommendation.
Correct. The above is the recommendation that the committee approved at its January 31st, 2024 meeting.
So do we have any dangling issues that we need to shore up?
I have one question, if I could, Bill.
Yes.
Vicki, I think. I think my position here is a technical advisor on this. So I have no vote. And I don't think I participate in interviews either, but I think I can suggest questions that are raised in the interviews. Is that correct, Vicki?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
And the committee or the committee chair, these interviews are to be conducted in closed session, and under the closed session rule, staff necessary can also attend. So if the committee or if the chair wishes to have your presence in order to bring the executive director, view into them, they can do so as well.
But I don't participate in the meeting itself. Only in attendance.
Correct, only in attendance, right? You don't vote, okay. You don't have a say.
Okay.
Lori, previously, the personnel cabinet had a hiring handbook that had some recommended questions. Does such a document still exist?
It does. Yes.
Okay. All right.
I can send that to you.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Would you share that with the committee, please?
Yes.
Well, I'm not hearing any other items, either from the administration or from board members. So I think we have our recommendation, and which completes the agenda. So I think we can declare.
You should do a motion to approve the recommendation so then it can be moved forward to the board.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
I'll second.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And
Any
I would
opposed?
request that Bill write out that motion, please, for the minutes.
Well, I'll work on that, along with all the help I can get. So we passed that, and we're at the end of our agenda. so that I think we can call the meeting adjourned. Is that correct? All right, meeting adjourned. Thanks so much for everybody's
Thanks.
hard